fading.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled Shadow Streak hiatus in order to bring you a healthy dose of I told you so. I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. I think I know what I'm talking about when I say that this sounds like a train wreck of an idea. Live action Powerpuff Girls. Seriously, who on earth was asking for this? This was almost 5 years ago.
Fuck, you're old.
The CW trailer for the recent Powerpuff Girls live action series that was canceled a couple years ago has leaked. And lo and behold, it's just as garbage as I expected it to be. Now, granted, I had no way of actually knowing with 100% certainty that this was going to be terrible, but sometimes there are just things in life that you just know. You just know that it's not going to be good, it's not going to work out. Lo and behold, this is what we got. It's absolutely terrible. Between the very sterile looking backgrounds, the horrible green screening effects, which granted you can make the argument were unfinished, but regardless, it still looks bad, to the entire premise of the series making absolutely no sense and being very vindictive towards the premise of the original series, a lot of the CW live action show left a bad taste in my mouth. And now that we've gotten a look at what that show is inevitably going to end up being like, I am so glad this thing got canceled. There's a lot to really unpack in the 3.5 minutes of this trailer, and I don't think I'm going to hit on every single major thing, but I wanted to at least make a video on this subject because I know a lot of people were going to be coming to me and asking for my thoughts on it, and in order to appease that so I don't get asked about it for months and months and months and months and months on end, I can just make this video now, address my thoughts, and move forward, because I really, after seeing this trailer, I hope I never have to talk about this show again. It looks absolutely terrible, and quite frankly, I'm glad it got shot down and died when it did, because having to deal with this being a real thing would just only tarnish the reputation of the Powerpuff franchise even further than it's already been by a certain 2016 reboot. Just going over the handful of things that I kind of want to address based on what we see in this trailer. Let's talk about some minor details first, just getting them out of the way. I hate the fact that Bubbles has ice breath. I think that's one of the first things I need to just kind of get off my chest. I believe this was mentioned in the script, which I did a reading of back in a live stream from 2021, in case you may or may not remember that. Blossom sees blood on the inside panel. Blossom and Buttercup join her. Blossom begins to hyperventilate, having a full-blown panic attack. They fucking killed Mojo! What?
The girls made a fatal error, costing Mojo his life.
No, they didn't. Oh my god, they killed Mojo? Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Oh my god. Go check it out, by the way, if you're interested. It apparently got like a ton of views for some reason, which is kind of cool. I never really expected a stream of me reading that script would do that well, but here we are. But the fact that Bubbles has ice breath drives me up a wall, because why is this a consistently missed detail that it feels like every incarnation of the series seems to get wrong? And when I say every incarnation, I mean like Dance Pants and then this, I guess, which, you know, isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. My point being, the original series has an entire episode dedicated to Blossom's ice breath. It's such an important component of her character. It's the first major conflict that she has to deal with in the series. I mean, I said it in my season 1 review. Ice Soar is one of the best episodes of season 1, and I've only grown to appreciate it more and more as time has gone on. It is such a solid episode. So the fact that that detail of her character is just completely overlooked and treated as if it meant nothing in these other incarnations is insulting, to say the least, and it shows that there wasn't enough care or thought put in by whoever worked on this to really pay homage or attention to the original establishment in the series. And yes, I guess you can make the argument, well, it's trying to be different. Well, why are you referencing the original series then? I mean, the best argument that's presented in this trailer is that there was a cartoon based on them, which I already hate that idea because it's disingenuous. And it makes it seem as though, oh, this series is the real thing. This is the real amazing Powerpuff Girls, not that 1998 cartoon based on them. Dude, I also feel like it's undermining Craig McCracken's work. I mean, it's his idea. He came up with the characters, he made the show happen. And this show's stealing credit as the quote-unquote original version. I hate that. Not only does the reboot have to force themselves into the coattails of somebody else's success, but the CW series has to do the same thing. It drives me up a wall. It's so insulting. Like, maybe it doesn't bother Craig. I have no idea. I can't speak for the guy. I know if I created something and all these other people were riding on my success, I'd be like, dude, it's not yours. You don't deserve to be able to praise yourselves over something I did. Like, it's just not fair. But anyway, I also don't really agree with the fact that it tries to make a jab at the original series by suggesting that Buttercup and the professor were whitewashed. I don't agree with the concept of whitewashing. I think that it's, terrible, and there's plenty of examples in media where it really should never have been done. But what I also don't agree with is revisionist history that tries to throw in unnecessary and irrational jab at the cartoon that was made in 1998 that did no such thing because no character was whitewashed in the first place.
Yeah, it was fun when we were just fighting baddies, but it changed. Not to mention that cartoon that completely whitewashed us.
I think diversity is absolutely necessary, but I also don't think it's fair to suggest that the cartoon whitewashed a character that was originally a different race when that's not true. That's revisionist history. That's fake. Like, I don't think that's a fair criticism to make at the original cartoon. And maybe I'm reading too deep into it, but quite frankly, I care about the original series so much that, like, it is a big deal because it doesn't deserve to be talked down upon like that. Regardless, I actually don't really have an issue with the casting choices. I mean, again, I would never make this show in the first place, but quite frankly, I'm already used to one different incarnation of the girls, so if it's another incarnation of different people, that's totally fine. I have no issue with the professor being, the guy from Scrubs, I think. I have no issue with any of the girls. I think the concept of Mojo and Jojo is terrible. I think that's such an awful idea. Why, if the cartoon was based on this, why is Mojo and Jojo two separate people, a father and a son? Why is he just a normal middle-aged man? I don't really get it. I do appreciate, I guess, Tom Kenny coming back to be the narrator. That's kind of cool. However, I love the fact that once again a male got to reprise his role, but none of the females got to reprise theirs. So we're continuing the trend of being sexist here too. That's really cool. Sarcasm, obviously. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that Cartoon Network never got any sort of repercussions for doing that with the reboot. And, if you're gonna recast, go the whole way. Recasting one character, not the end of the world. But if you're gonna recast all the women, you gotta recast all the men too. It just isn't fair. It's blatant sexism. I'm just putting it out there. Regardless, what else? I really don't find the backgrounds of the show very impressive. I think the lab is very sterile, boring, empty, and barren. It looks fake. A lot of this show looks fake. And again, you can make the argument, oh, well, the CGI wasn't finished. I mean, look at that monster robot thing that's going through the city. Yeah, you can make that argument, but I don't think it was gonna look much better than this anyways. Like, the green screening is terrible. The shots of the girls flying in the air looks awful. It looks bad. Like, it doesn't look right. Obviously, the writing is bad. If you want to hear my reaction to most of the writing, just go watch the live stream I did, because a lot of the lines are ripped right out of that script, and, well, you can hear my reactions to that.
Are those the Powerpuff Girls? They're all so cool. Especially Blossom.
No, god damn it!
I don't really like what they did with any of the characters, except I guess Buttercup being a firefighter is alright. That's not bad. I mean, okay, she went on to be a normal, everyday hero. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But Bubbles ran, well, the trailer presents it as Blossom ran away, and Bubbles went to Hollywood Boulevard, which is also her running away. I just want to point that out. Bubbles literally did the same thing Blossom did. It's just that Bubbles got more glamour. I guess maybe if Bubbles just had her running away be announced, then I guess she's not really running away. The point is they both left and went somewhere else. I don't know. Whatever. Regardless, a lot of the liners are terrible. Oh, another thing I really wanted to call out was the merchandise section. I do appreciate that we got to see some cool shots of the original toys and the lunchbox and the cereal box and some reboot crap. I also hate the fact that the original toys are shown on the pedestal and then below them are the keychains of the reboot girls, because nobody respects this brand, I guess. Why can't we keep them separate? There's so many other media franchises out there that are able to separate the different incarnations of a character. Ben 10, Batman, I don't know, Spider-Man, all these different things. And it's yeah, there's crossover stuff like Spider-Verse for Spider-Man, but it's 60s Spider-Man is kept separate from 90s Spider-Man, which is kept separate from Spectacular Spider-Man, which is kept separate from the Sam Raimi movies. And yeah, there's crossover stuff, but the point is they're all treated as separate incarnations at the end of the day. They're not treated like one franchise that's all the same character. Like, there's a million different versions of Peter Parker, is my point. And like the CW series is like kind of going that route, but not completely. But on the cartoon side, it's like there's no distinction made, and it just aggravates me. One other detail I wanted to call out was, do you see what that magnet on Blossom's mirror says? I'm just gonna let this clip speak for itself.
Since when did you start saying girl power?
I always say that. Girl power?
Like, tell me you haven't seen Powerpuff Girls without telling me you haven't seen Powerpuff Girls. Like, I don't even know what more to say. The devil is in the details here, and we're not getting any good details out of this show. So I guess the devil is really just the show itself, which, by the way, let's talk about the newspaper headlines. So we got a reference to Fuzzy Lumpkins. The first one is, if you actually read the fine print, you can see the Gangrene Gang are referenced. And what's kind of cool, and I do appreciate, someone actually wrote an article, which, like, you know, most of the time it's like lorem ipsum, blah, 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 whatever, nonsense words. But like someone actually wrote an article about the Gangrene Gang and the girls and whatever. We got the Fuzzy headline, and then we got him, who isn't referenced by name. But look at this Photoshop job. Like, we have the 3 girls, and then we have a lobster claw, the pink fluff thing, and then some random building. But look at how terribly Photoshopped that is. And like we're at reboot levels of Photoshop here. You can clearly see the girls are superimposed on a fake background. It is so blatantly obvious, just like the way the 2016 reboot did it. What is it with every incarnation of Powerpuff after the original and I guess Z? They just want to do crummy Photoshop jobs, and that's good enough. I don't know. I don't want to really just ramble about this and just rant for like half an hour or anything, so I'm gonna kind of wrap it up. I think the premise of this whatever pilot or episode or whatever it was gonna be is kind of silly. The whole evil scheme is like there's this little girl that can mind control everyone. I guess that's the best they got. You know, there's this super creative series where they fight monsters. They got a devil crab. They got Fuzzy. They got all this stuff, and it's like, okay, it's gonna be a mind control episode where this girl's gonna mind control the professor, and we're gonna frame him as mind controlling. I guess. I don't know. I just. Ooh. Sometimes you just know. I will never understand, and I will never see what I saw plenty of other people online saying, oh, you know, this is a good idea. This could be good. I see a lot of promise in this. No, there was never any promise in it. It was never going to be good. I said it from the very beginning. I said it in the original reaction to the announcement. I said it when I did the script. It was never going to be good. The concept of Powerpuff Girls does not work in a live action setting, and there's no way I'll ever be convinced that it will. The best you can do is maybe some 3D CGI, but you can't have the Powerpuff Girls looking like normal human girls. It just doesn't work. Even in the episode in the original series where they did that, they still stylized them. And quite frankly, I'm not a fan of it anyways. And maybe that's a personal preference issue, but like, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that Powerpuff can be done in live action. There are some things that are meant to be done in animation that only animation can present and do, and the girls do not work. Their designs are way too far away from a real human to be able to translate in a proper manner. It's uncanny. The designs just don't work. It just doesn't translate. Look at that. It looks like a crummy Halloween costume. And even then, the crummy Halloween costumes at least get the bug-eyed part right. Like, they at least make them look like bug-eyed freaks, but like, I don't know. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on this CW trailer. It looks terrible. I'm not impressed. I think that ultimately humanity has been saved by this thing not coming to fruition. I hope it never gets revived. I hope they never attempt anything like this ever again. I think the title of Powerpuff is extremely lazy. Let's just get rid of girls and call it a day. Like, oh, we got rid of the word the too, I guess. So yeah, let's just get rid of the and girls, and we'll just call it Powerpuff, and we'll be done. Ah, yes, good. Bravo. Creative title there. So yeah, ultimately, not a fan. I don't like this. It's trash. And yeah.
This is exactly like the gathering of the Juggalos.
You've been.
Oh yeah, I'm down with the clowns.
All right, let's take a quick side diversion. I want to talk about a couple other things really quick because I'm tired of all the negativity with this CW series. A lot of people have asked me my thoughts on Multiversus and the Powerpuff Girls inclusion in that game. I'm going to be blunt. I don't really enjoy live service games. I don't encourage their business model, and so I haven't gotten to experience the Powerpuff Girls. Maybe someday when the game gets shut down and somebody releases the full game online where I can just get all the characters for free without having to pay for every single one or grind for hours on end, I'll give them a shot. But in the interim, I'm afraid I don't really have much to say on that. It's cool that they're in there, though. I'd love to experience it someday. Another thing I want to briefly acknowledge is there's a comic book series that's currently currently ongoing with the Powerpuff Girls. Haven't read it yet, but I'd really like to give it a shot sometime. I'd also like to mention that I actually have a Powerpuff podcast with a good friend of mine where we go through and talk about every single episode of the original series in more depth than my video does. So if you're anxious for my season 2 video, which is on the way, and you'd like some more Powerpuff related stuff from me, go ahead and check out that podcast. It's called The City of Soundsville. There's a link to it in the description. I'll link to it in the video. It's available on Spotify and on YouTube, so please go ahead and check that out. We even have a Q&A section where you can ask us questions if you're interested, so go ahead and do that. And last but not least, I want to mention the Powerpuff Girls inclusion in a recent Jellystone crossover event, which quite frankly is probably the best Powerpuff related thing we've gotten since Powerpuff Girls rule. It's awesome, and it's headed by C.H. Greenblatt, a guy who's a huge fan of Powerpuff Girls, and I mean, he worked at CN when Powerpuff was ongoing, and he also referenced Powerpuff Girls in Chowder. So quite frankly, the Jellystone crossover event, phenomenal. I suggest everybody go check it out. It's great. We got the original actresses back to voice the girls.
We're on it, Mr. Mayor. Come on, girls. Let's knock him into next week.
Nah, every time we knock him into next week, then we just gotta fight him all over again next week.
Mojo's in it. We even get a cameo from Ace and the Gangrene Gang. It's really cool. And it honestly just makes me want a new Powerpuff series that's like faithful to the original series. Why is that so hard? Why is that so much to ask for? I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to give a little bit of positivity in this video before I wrap things up, just because, you know, there is a lot of, there are some good things with Powerpuff Girls coming out recently, and yeah, I just kind of wanted to shout those things out. So yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I hope you guys enjoyed this random rant or whatever that this was, but yeah, there are my thoughts. Now please never ask me about it again, because quite frankly, I don't want to think about it. I'd prefer to just live in the glory days of something that used to be amazing and stop thinking about an uncaring, disinterested corporation trying to milk something for all it's worth and ruining the reputation of something that was once great. If Craig McCracken ever makes a show, which we have no idea on if that's even still happening or not, but if Craig ever gets around to working on a Powerpuff project that's like a show or something, then yeah, I'll probably be interested. But at this point, if Cartoon Network or Warner Brothers or whoever ever attempts anything to do with this franchise that's not like a comic run or something that's based on the original series, I'm not interested. They've burned me once, and this was gonna burn me a second time. Not that I had any hopes for it to begin with, but I just don't trust anybody to be capable of making anything good for this franchise outside of the original creator at this point, because nobody successfully managed to do so, and they've done it multiple times. Dance Pants was okay, but like it didn't do anything revolutionary enough to really give me any hope for any sort of subsequent series or specials by that team. Those are kind of my thoughts, so I'll kind of wrap this video up now. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing from me on this. I've got more videos coming soon, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys then. So until next time, Shadow Streak signing off.